Muhammad Umar Farooq biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other for solving the problem. So here we will discuss about the endocrinology of glucagon and insulin. So the insulin and glucagon will produce from the pancreas, and that's catabolic hormone is glucagon and anabolic hormone is insulin. So here is the pancreas, which we will discuss, and this pancreas contain different type of cells which produce the different type of enzyme and hormone. So the here is the endocrine hormone. On the other hand, exocrine hormone, which that release from the digestive system, which that toward the digestive system is known as the exocrine gland. So here I am drawing that the cell tissue which that's allowed to bind the insulin to move inside glucose. On the other hand, the glucagon is the opposite effect, which that release the glucose into the bloodstream. So important to know that is the digestive system which contain a gland, and that gland contain a different type of cells, and that is mean the different type of cell is known as the compound tissue, and this tissue contain a dense beta cell, alpha cell and gamma cell, delta cell. So here is the digestive system contain a salivary gland, esophagus, stomach and duodenum, and here is the pancreas. On the other hand, here is the large and small intestine, which that ultimately go into the rectum to anus for release of the defecated material is known as the feces. So here we are not going to understand the digestive system. So here is the stomach which contain a duodenum, and their duodenum is the back side, it contain a pancreas. So inside of the pancreas look like this is known as the acinus, and that's here is the tail, and upward is the here is the toward the duodenum is the head of the pancreas, and that is the mid region is also present. So it's contain a islet of Langerhans, that is the accumulation of different type of cells, three type of cell which that is provide the hormone. This accumulation is here is the delta cell which produce somatostatin like a growth factor, that's growth hormone, and beta cell which produce the insulin. Insulin is the anabolic effect of the body. On the other hand, the alpha cell which produce the glucagon, that is the catabolic. So the collectively is known as the metabolism due to the beta cell and alpha cell produce insulin and glucagon. So important to know that the islet of Langerhans that is contain a blood vessels which provide the oxygen as well as absorb the glucagon and insulin, for example for transport the whole tissue where the need of the glucose. So here the digestive system contain a pancreas, okay, and this pancreas is here is we will discuss the first of all enterocytes. So these enterocytes, the brush border and brush border cells which contain brush border enzyme that are lie in the duodenum, and here is the blood vessel which contain a sugar entering from the enterocytes. How? Because it's the used for the active transport, used for the energy, used with the energy. So here the glucose in the lumen of the duodenum which allow to move inside the from the GLUT2 channel to GLUT4 channel by the exchanging of ions. For example, 2 sodium will move inside to move the glucose inside of the enterocytes, and that's potassium and sodium ATP as pump used to inside move into the blood vessel. So that's important. And ultimately when sugar will enter into the blood vessel, so the immediately that's blood glucose level will be high. So what happen will be occur. So here is the beta cell, and this beta cell which that is allowed to move the sugar inside by the active transport. by the change of ions. Here is not chloride ion, it can be move another ion also. So here I am not discussing about the whole physiology. So here is important to know that says glucose will move inside of the mitochondria and produce acetyl-CoA to go into Krebs cycle and electron transport chain to produce ATP, and this ATP will inhibit the movement of potassium outside. So efflux of the potassium is inhibited. So what will be happen? So the inhibition of efflux of the potassium, so the charge will be negative inside as compared to the outside. Outside will be positive into millivolt. So the depolarization will be occur. So this depolarization is positive to go into negative inside to create the another channel opening is known as the L-type calcium channel or L-type gated channel will be open. So this is the here is the calcium channel which that will be open and calcium move inside. And what is the what is happening inside? So calcium move inside to create a more positive charge because it's positive charge. So the calcium will move inside to create basically more electron, which that means the more positive, which that create a binding with the insulin granule is known as the exocytosis from the cell, from the beta cell. So the beta cell here inside more depolarization to give a movement of the insulin is known as the exocytosis. So that's the depolarization is the mechanism to increase the calcium, and that's calcium allowed to move the outside of the insulin is known as exocytosis, and that's exocytosis go inside the blood vessel to increase the insulin. So when increase the insulin, here is important to know that the enteroendocrine cells also stimulate the exocytosis of insulin. So next video we will discuss with the details. So here is the just overview. So here is a blood vessel which contain a glucose higher. So the amount of glucose will be high and the insulin are also present, which that is the mechanism from the beta cells to produce insulin. So this insulin will bind with the tissue to allow the facilitate diffusion of the sugar into the tissue. So this diffusion is known as the facilitate diffusion to move the glucose inside by the binding of insulin. So the insulin will open the gate of the tissue, for example muscle tissue and digestive tissue or adipose tissue. So here is the muscle tissue. So on the other hand we will discuss about the adipose tissue. So here is the adipose tissue which contain also contain a insulin receptor. So insulin received to move the glucose inside to anabolism. So this anabolism produce a storage mechanism to store the glucose in the form of triglycerides, and so that is why the anabolic effect to increase the fat into the adipose tissue. So adipogenesis or lipogenesis will be occur. So here is the cell of the muscle which contain a glucose when enter to move the pyruvate, that is known as the glycolysis, and acetyl-CoA will enter into the mitochondria. Acetyl-CoA will be produced into the mitochondria and Krebs cycle to electron transport chain to produce ATP. On the other hand, the glucose will convert also glycogen, that is known as the glycogenesis, and this glycogenesis mechanism to produce the glycogen, and these glycogen look like this. That's too much branch. It look like the starch, but it's too much branch. That's amylopectin. It's not look like this. It's densely branches of the glycogen. So here is the glycogenolysis will be occur when glucagon will be effect to the glycogen into the tissue. So here the glucagon will increase the glucose. On the other hand, the insulin will decrease the um, catabolism. So the glucagon is used as a catabolism and insulin is used as a anabolism. So thanks for watching.